misconception, apologetics. So, we're going to go over the introduction briefly, and then we're going to get right into it because I'm super excited. And I've heard a lot of you are excited about this. I'm sure some of you are nervous as well, because when you think about apologetics, it's all like smart stuff. And it's a lot of research, and it's a lot of like, I don't know, when I think about apologetics, I think about like really scholarly people talking in turtlenecks and debating theology, and they're like, this is what my God says, and it's not anywhere that I live. But it's not scary. And a lot of people have misconceptions about what apologetics really is. We had a staff discipler a few years ago named Kevin, who minored at Bible college in apologetics. And he was telling me about a story one time when he was speaking at a church, and he said what his minor was, and a little old lady came up to him afterwards and was like, son, I really don't think that we should be apologizing for our faith. And he tried to explain it to her, but it was just going over her head. We think apologetics, and it's like, I'm so sorry that I'm a Christian, and we're trying to reason our way out. That's not what apologetics is. If you look, apologetics comes from the Greek word apologia. On the first page, or it's page 5 in your notes, comes from the Greek word apologia, which just means a defense. It's a defense. It's not an attack. It's not any big spiritual thing. It's a defense. If you look up at the verse, 1 Peter 3:15, it says, always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect, keeping a clear conscience, so that those who speak maliciously against your good behavior in Christ may be ashamed of their slander. I really want you guys to keep this verse in mind throughout this course. This verse sums up everything. We're going to talk about some science stuff, and we're going to talk about some history stuff, and logic stuff, and all this stuff. And it's going to get mind-blowing at times. It blew my mind at times. But I want you guys to keep in mind this verse. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you for the reason for the hope that you have. Sometimes, for me, I've been a Christian so long that it's like, I'm a Christian because I don't know anything else. I'm a Christian because why not? You know, that's hard to make as an argument to a lost person. So what a defense is when what we believe is being attacked, or when somebody has an argument that discredits what we believe, or says that what we believe isn't grounded on reason, but it's just our fancy. This is a defense. Paul says in Philippians 1:16, I am put here for the defense of the gospel. We are here to right some wrongs and to clear up some misconceptions, because I don't know if you've noticed, but the world has a lot of crazy conceptions about what it means to be a Christian and what it means to follow God, and crazy ideas about who this God is. Before we get into all of those arguments, and you can see in your table of contents, we go by questions, because that's what the world is asking. We have, each week will be a question, and we're going to try and answer it the best way possible. Before we get to that, I want to clear up some misconceptions about what apologetics really is. In studying apologetics of the Christian faith, we hope to find answers to the questions that the world is asking about why we believe what we believe using sound logic and reasoning. Not Christianese, not personal testimony, though that's a part. We want you guys to be prepared to give an answer that's convincing to a lost person. We study apologetics for a defense of our faith and not an attack on others. And that's a really, really hard line to find. We are defending our faith. We are not attacking other people's beliefs. We're not attacking other people's viewpoints or their perspectives or their history or their intellect. We are not attacking. We're defending. I've heard someone who is very well-meaning refer to studying apologetics as more arrows in your quiver. The more information you know, it's another arrow that you can have, that you can attack the enemy. That's not what this is. Apologetics is a defense. It's a shield. It's when you're talking to a lost person and they have this question, this issue that's been burdening them, and it's like, I can't believe in God because of this. You have an answer. When I was registering for classes my sophomore year in high school, I saw that biology was a required class. And I'm not generally into science, but I got pretty excited because I know when you study biology, you study something called evolution. And I got so excited that over the summer, I'm a nerd, you guys already know that. Over the summer, I read all of these books on creationism and about anti-Darwinism and anti-evolution, and I was ready. And on that first day of school, I was prepared. I was like, come on, professor, teacher, come on. I'm ready for this evolution chapter. Let's go for it. On the first day of class, teacher says, our course syllabus says that we're going to have to talk about evolution, and I'm required to teach it. But I want you guys to know that I'm a Christian and I don't believe it. So we're just going to brush over it as quickly as possible. And I got so mad. I was like, what? No! Like, I'm ready to prove you wrong. And I realized in that moment that I was not looking to defend the gospel. I was looking to defend my intellect. I was looking to be that guy who proved the teacher wrong in front of everybody. That's not what I'm preparing you guys to do in this course. What studying apologetics cannot do, cannot prove that you are smarter than anybody else. Because here's the thing, there are people way smarter than all of us who don't believe what you believe. And no amount of convincing or intellect or reasoning will change a heart. So apologetics is not a matter of, I'm smarter than you because I know why Darwin didn't know what he was talking about. Or I know why evil is in the world and you don't. So therefore I'm smarter than you. And that's really hard for me. I want to prove people wrong. I want to boost my own ego. But studying apologetics can't do that at all. It only shows that you've done some research. There are people much smarter than me who are atheists. And there are people much smarter than me who are Christians. Faith is not a matter of intellect. But intellect plays an important part. Studying apologetics cannot substitute for a genuine personal relationship with God. You can learn everything that we teach in this course. You can read all the books that are out there. You can learn everything about God and still not know God. This is the head portion of the evangelism series. But we're balancing it with heart and hand. Because taken by itself, this won't get you anywhere. Lastly, studying apologetics cannot indicate a level of spiritual maturity. Some of you have been saved for a really long time. Some of you haven't. Honestly, what I've found, usually the people who are more recently saved know more about apologetics than the people who have been saved their whole life. It made sense because at one point they were lost, didn't want God, and something happened, and they found Him, and they want to bring other people with them. If you've been saved your whole life, I've never not believed in God. That was never presented as an option. You know, how can you not believe in God? That's just how I was raised. So it's tempting to think, man, they are nailing this apologetic stuff, and they have the perfect argument for every question. They're such a much better Christian than I am. And that's not true. This is not a gauge of your spiritual maturity. It's not a gauge of your walk with God. It's just a gauge of how much research you've done. But what apologetics can do is it can give you confidence in evangelism. There's no way that we can cover every answer to every question that you're ever going to get. But if you spend some time doing research and you find these questions that are incredibly hard to answer, and in research and in prayer and in thinking through them, you find an answer and go, oh, that makes sense. You're more likely to trust that you'll find another answer. So you're less afraid of somebody asking you a question that you have no idea the answer to because you've taken time and you've found other answers. And you're like, if I found an answer to this question, I'm sure that there's an answer to your question. So it gives you confidence. We're not relying on our flesh, we're not relying on our intellect, but it helps. It helps. Studying apologetics, I believe, can strengthen your faith and intimacy with God. As I was preparing these courses, I would just stop. It's like, wow, God, you do exist. The Bible is accurate. There's good and evil in the world for a reason. And when you study these head facts, if you allow them to just sit and think about God exists, it's no more than just an argument, but it becomes reality for you. And so I know in my life and in my prayers that in your life, that as we go through these, you'll think more critically about this stuff than you've ever thought before, and find these answers, and find that you've grown so much closer to God and can trust that He knows what He's doing. Finally, apologetics can give you a glimpse into the mind of a lost world. I said a couple weeks ago that I wanted you guys to think like skeptics. That means question stuff. That means say, but wait, that doesn't make sense. Sometimes we come to church our whole lives and we bring our Bibles just to bring them. We might follow along, but the words are on the screen, so we never have to look it up. And then when we go home, we just trust that the pastor preached what was scriptural, and we never question it. That's something so foreign to everyone else in the world. Most people in the world have such a hard time blindly accepting things, and when we as Christians just say, oh yeah, my pastor told me, it's really unconvincing to them. And they're saying, but wait, but. In studying apologetics, it gives you a glimpse into the mind of someone who doubts, someone who has questions. Really, the honest people, because we all have questions and doubts. Christians are just less likely to vocalize them. The lost world isn't. They're lost for a reason, because they don't know the truth that we have. So I want you guys to keep these in mind as you're studying, as you're applying these to a lost person in witnessing. I want you guys to think like a skeptic. I want you to get into the mind of a lost world and let this actually grow your relationship with God. But don't get distracted by proving you're smarter, by having a good argument, by reasoning someone out.